In the beginning of September of 1942, the German army wanted to capture 3 different cities, 3 different objectives: Stalingrad in the east, Grozny in the southeast, and the harbor city of Tuapse in the south. Instead of focusing on a single objective, the oil fields around Grozny, Hitler allowed his command to disperse on multiple divergent missions. In September of 1942, the German army did have the resources to take one of these 3 objectives, and this should have been Grozny. Why Grozny and not Baku, the oil metropolis of the Soviet Union? First, the terrain was ideal. It could have been a campaign that the panzer divisions were designed to win, using bold maneuvers across flat steppes against a disorganized foe that lacked proper air, artillery and armor support. Second, Germany did not need Baku's oil fields in 1942. Baku was nearly 300 miles further southeast. The Maikop's oil fields, which was captured in August of 1942, and the Grozny oil fields actually possessed all the oil the German army could ever need. As I introduced it in my last video, the Luftwaffe could have destroyed the Baku oil center during a series of night raids. A real challenge was getting these fields operational again after the retreating Soviet forces completely smashed them, as well as how to address the issue with refining any crude oil that the Germans managed to extract. And this is why taking Grozny would have been a game changer. The city had a large and very modern oil refinery called the Lenin Oil Refinery, which was located in the southern part of the city. It was a huge facility which included several smaller refineries and held 1 million tons of oil. With the Lenin refinery in German hands, the extracted oil could have been used immediately. But to hinder the Soviet scorched earth policy, an airborne assault would be needed. German paratroopers with assault gliders could be used to take 2 vital objectives in Grozny: the previously mentioned oil refinery in the south and the airport in the north of the city. The entire operation could have started with a devastating Stuka air raid. The German dive bombers could strike the Soviet tube concentrations, communication centers, anti-aircraft batteries and all the other strong points in and around Grozny. They could also hit all the bridges and roads leading to Grozny from the east and south to stop the arrival of any possible Soviet reinforcements in the region. And they could have destroyed all the Red Air Force aircraft around the city. The time frame for a large and concentrated Stuka attack should have been 20 to 30 minutes. Right after the last Stuka squadron had left, the German paratroopers could land in assault gliders and take the refinery and the airfield. The Luftlande Sturmregiment, or Air Landing Assault Regiment, was prepared exactly for such missions behind enemy lines. It was formed as a battalion in November of 1939. It was intended to open the way into central Belgium by capturing the formidable Fort Eben-Emael, defending the Albert Canal as well as 3 bridges over the canal. The DFS-230 gliders were to be used to allow the assault groups to silently land virtually on the top of their objectives, surprising the defenders and preventing them from destroying the bridges. This airborne assault took place on 10th of May 1940. The Belgian defenders were unable to muster any serious counterattacks against the paratroopers. 2 more battalions were formed during the fall of 1940, and the unit was redesignated as the Air Landing Assault Regiment, and it was kept in reserve until it was needed for the invasion of Crete in 1941. After the glider assault, German paratroopers could have made a combat jump near Grozny and take the majority of the city. After that, the airfield in the north could have been used to transport ammunition and reinforcements for the paratroopers, who simply would have to hold the city for 4 or 5 days until the German ground forces arrive. This scenario would have been possible in September of 1942. From a political point of view, if the German troops had captured the Chechen capital, it could have sparked a rebellion in the entire Caucasus region and caused even more problems for Stalin and his secret police. But the German High Command failed to create one single Schwerpunkt for the 1942 campaign. Had the 1st Panzer Army received priority of fuel in September, including deliveries of fuel by air, it almost certainly could have bounced the Terek before the Soviets could build a defensive line along the entire river. Reduced to only 2 fuel-starved divisions at the tip of the spear, von Kleist's spearhead was stabbed more by his own side than by the Red Army. Historians have generally focused on Stalingrad as the defining moment of the 1942 campaign, but the faulty German performance in the Caucasus indicates endemic problems in the Third Reich style of operational and strategic planning that go well beyond the mistakes of a few individual German generals.